Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Chief Kevin O'Connell, the Chair of the Waltham Traffic Commission. Tonight we're having a public hearing, not a public meeting, a public hearing, to listen to your side, the merchants, the residents, and the citizens of Waltham, their viewpoint of the possibility of shutting down Moody Street again this summer, outside that. I ask that anybody here tonight that is recording, please stand and state your name. Waltham Cable is recording this, but I want to make sure anybody is recording.
James Pillis, 19 Gorham Street, Waltham Data on YouTube.
Anybody else?
Traffic Commission is also recording.
Traffic Commission. In the room, I saw Mayor McCarthy's in the house, and Councilors Councilor Lidell's here, Councilor Harris, Councilor Cates, Councilor Durkin, and Councilor Blank. Did I miss any other city councilors here? Yes, as well. Okay. So tonight, we're going to call upon Mayor McCarthy first to talk about her plan and her presentation. Which wants to go first? Mayor McCarthy?
I'd rather have the people also make sure they get their voice.
Okay.
Okay.
Do that. So I kindly ask, this is not our first time doing this. We've been doing this the fourth year. So I'm going to try to keep the comments down to like 3 minutes or so everybody gets a fair chance to get their word out there. I also ask you to come up to make sure you sign, if you're going to speak, sign in right there at the podium. Who would like to go first? Sir?
My name's Bill Greenwood, and I highly oppose shutting down Moody Street any longer. The pandemic's over. The restaurants and stuff that we did this for first, they're all back to 100% capacity within their permit that they pulled out for their business. So you're giving them extra now. You're taking away parking spaces, handicap parking spaces on Moody Street. They have to go to other businesses on that street. Any safety issues are transferring the traffic from Moody Street east or west. All right, east, you're going right past McDonald Playground and the other playground, I'm going to say Peter, but the other playground, the big one that's there. All that traffic is going either that way or west, going towards the pitch school. All these playgrounds get used relatively highly during the summer. We're directing that traffic right towards the children, right, which I don't think is right. And if by chance there's a tie-up on 128, Waltham is a bypass route. We get traffic that gets off 128, goes through Waltham, Lexington, Woburn. That just adds to that traffic, probably doubles or triples that traffic that's being diverted towards these playgrounds. It's the Gilmore playground, I understand. And that's my situation on that. As far as the handicapped people traveling up and down Moody Street, wheelchairs, walkers, blind people with their canes, it's not just maneuvering around what's on the sidewalk. Now you're dealing with people and servers that are running back and forth, people that are waiting there for tables. I mean, we're making it more difficult for the handicapped and the children in the city right now. We're closing down Moody Street. That's my feelings.
Thank you.
My name is Jacob Fager. I live at 237 Moody Street. A few summers ago during the pandemic, I had a chance to dine out on Moody Street before I lived in the city, and I really enjoyed it, and it was part of why I moved to the city. I thought it was amazing. The businesses on Moody Street are primarily pedestrian serviced, and anybody who needs to attend those businesses who cannot no longer park on the street can park in all of the parking lots that are around the Crescent Street lot, the Embassy lot, and the like. Crescent Street bypasses Moody Street, and we should not increase traffic. We should make it harder for traffic to get through the city, because we don't want the traffic from 128 to come to the city. So by closing Moody Street, we're contributing to that goal. So I support the full closure of Moody Street. As a resident who lives nearby, I think it would be great for the city.
Hi, good evening. So, my name is Claudia. I've been living in Waltham for 14 years. I'm a homeowner. My husband is a first responder. He's actually not here now, so that's why I brought my child. And I use a lot of different businesses along Moody Street. Our home is right off Moody Street. And I'm against the closure of Moody Street all week. It's not beneficial for residents. Like the first speaker, I agree that it makes the traffic on High Street very difficult, very chaotic. There are cars stopping on the corner of Moody and High Street all the time because they're either confused that they cannot turn onto Moody, they don't know what to do, or they're stopping there because they need to go into Moody to get something on Moody, so they stop right in that corner. The park, there's also not enough businesses open during the day on Moody Street when Moody is closed to create enough foot traffic. So if you are walking during the day before 5 o'clock, let's say anytime during the day, it looks like an abandoned city with only a few, let's say, random people sitting on, let's say, Lisa's benches. So even if you get a coffee, so I do try to go there during the day when it's closed. Let me support the business. Let me go get a fruit. Let me go get a coffee. But it's still, there's nowhere. There's a few places open only. There's nowhere to sit. It looks abandoned. It looks scary. It's not a place that you want to be during the day when it's closed. When it's open, it's absolutely lovely and a wonderful place to be. Everything that I'm saying here, again, it's from my personal experience as a resident from a street right off Moody Street from the past 14 years. It's not from 1, 2, 3 years or 4 years ago. Also, if you do want to go from the north side of Moody Street to the south of Moody Street, like to Crescent or to the Margaritas area, you have to do a big loop to go around, and that loop is always a lot of traffic because you cannot go through Moody Street. And I want to point out what Mr. Paz mentioned on the PowerPoint of the previous meeting, that he wants to create free parking. He wants to get rid of parking charges on Waltham. I would like more clarification on that, because as a parent, I don't know if you are all aware, but Waltham Schools kids don't even have enough budget to feed the kids fruit every day of the week. So again, before providing parking to people coming from other towns to Waltham to dine a few nights a week, I think we should really think about Waltham residents and Waltham kids. Thank you.
My name is Gary Spriggs. I'm the owner and operator of Alfred's Photo Studio at 409 Moody Street. I am opposed to closing Moody Street. We've done it for 3 years. And now, I am a small business owner, and if you want to see my statistics of what happens to my business over the summer, I'd be happy to share it with you. I'm going over some points that I didn't get to make at the town hall. What is the net cost analysis for the city? I've never seen any figures. Has an effectiveness study been done over the last 3 years about, is the city making any money on this, or is this costing you money? What are the response times for emergency services? I've seen where there was an ambulance trying to get down Moody Street, and they're hopping out trying to move the grates and everything else. Time is of the essence when an ambulance is called. What about the traffic-related incidents of people having to go around and going everywhere else? We know there's a lot of accidents in Moody, not only in Waltham in general. The residential impact is being stated by parents, and I think they need to be listened to. What about the environmental impact? We have rat traps all over Moody Street last couple of years. I don't want to see those. The poison they're using is killing the birds. As far as making the parking free, no, because what's going to happen is somebody's going to want to go into Boston park their car there all day, and that space is not being used. I prefer to have it AV parking. Also, what's the additional cost to the police for having to control at night? Because I'm pretty sure they probably have to have more people. And I was curious as who's paying for the Jersey barriers and the additional signage that's required when they made the streets go to, Chestnut Street's now a two-way. That street's made one-way. I've been here 40 years, and it shouldn't be a two-way street, nor should Walnut. When we had a problem with the truck, it almost took out the signage. Someone's gonna get hurt. And then my last thing is, I want a no U-turn signs put back on Moody Street. I've been asking this for 3 years. My storefront is street level. You have no idea how many times a car bangs a U in front of my store and comes up on the curb. I took pictures. I spent 1 month just every time I was out front and not working on something, and someone came up on the sidewalk. I'm waiting for one of those cars to come through my building. And don't tell me it's not going to happen because there's a curb there, because cars are going through buildings. Please get the no U-turn signs back on the street. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein. I'm the owner and founder of Bay State Eye on Moody Street. I've been there for 49 years. And I am fully committed to having Moody Street remain open at all times, like most of our other previous speakers. But I want to talk to you instead about directions of traffic, etc., which are all valid things. I want to talk to you about common sense. On May 11th, the governor is going to declare the COVID emergency over. This was originally closed to support some restaurants in the COVID emergency, to encourage people to dine there anyways if they were afraid to go in. This emergency is over. The pandemic is over. And it's on May 11th. That's official from the governor. But I want to talk to you about the cost to small business of the 3 years we have endured, why we can't go on any longer. We have lost the handicap spaces on Moody Street, so that my elderly patients cannot be brought by family members, dropped off in front of, at the street level, walk in. Instead, they're being asked to park in a parking lot down Chestnut Street. They can't come in. They're in wheelchairs, they're in walkers, or they're walking and ambulating very slowly, holding on to a family member. So for months each year, they can't come in. So elderly access denied, handicap access denied. You have a brand new multi-million-dollar fire station on Moody Street. But when they call 911 and there's an emergency, every second counts. Yet the fire department has to detour around Moody Street. When someone places a 911 call for an emergency requiring the police, every second counts. And yet the police cannot traverse Moody Street. They are detoured around it. When someone has a severe medical emergency, a heart attack, or something very, very serious, we all know every second counts. No, ambulances have to be detoured around Moody Street. Even public transportation, the MBTA buses, have to be diverted. The small businesses were adversely affected. Not just for me, I'm advocating for my patients, but other businesses. The small Spanish bakery next door. During the winter, the line goes out to the door from the counter. But when the street is closed, they're lucky to have a customer or 2 customers in the store. Landscapers can no longer park their trucks on Moody Street to go into patronize. The nail salons, the barber shops, the small grocery stores, the bakery next door to me, take-out food places. They're suffering, and they're suffering badly. How long can this go on? The street is closed. Last summer, there were how many 90-degree days there were when nobody was eating on Moody Street even at night? Well, I know how many because I looked it up. There were 21 days when the temperature in Waltham reached 90 or above. There's tumbleweed in the street. You've turned the street during the day and most of the evening into a ghost town. There's nobody eating at Jocko's for lunch or Tempo for lunch. The restaurants aren't even open. Yet these business hours, for all of us, there's street's closed, our patients cannot access it. So what I'm asking for is really common sense, which is not the photo op a handful of restaurateurs take when the first nice night occurs and the tables are packed on a Friday night. And they make sure that the TV station is lost to cover, they get news. That's not the way it is the rest of the year. Why don't they do the photo op, show the wasteland Moody Street has been turned into 24 hours a day for most of the summer, most of the months. It's absolutely disgraceful. I'll tell you something. It just cannot go on. Moody Street must remain open. It's a thoroughfare. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm very upset by this. My patients are upset. And I know, we have representatives from police and fire here. But as an optometrist, and with the other two optometrists I know on Moody Street, we probably have half of your department or more as patients. The rank and file police officers, the rank and file ambulance drivers, and the rank and file fire department personnel think it's ridiculous to close the street. They tell me they want it open. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ezra. I live just south of Moody Street, Worcesters, and I'm fully in favor of closing Moody Street again this year. I guess I first wanted to mention how everyone was saying the pandemic is over, and regardless of what you think, if it is or it isn't, I don't think that the main draw for Moody Street being closed is necessarily because of the eating inside. I think in the past year, most people I know are fine with eating inside. The benefit to opening Moody Street is about community, and it's about creating a society that isn't so dependent on cars, and allowing people to congregate in areas in public without having to go and, even necessarily without having to go to a mall or a bar or somewhere like that. They can sit outside, they can just spend time with friends, they can be in a community with each other, instead of just like driving one place to another in their cars, go there, get your car, leave. There's more communication amongst residents who live in the town. I think that the parking situation, I think paying for parking is a good way to fund schools, but I think that's questions about where funds go in going towards schools is a little different. There are places the money could come from other than that, so I would be in favor of free parking. But I think my main point is about how the importance of community in the city and how most people don't have somewhere outside of their home or their work to be around people, and creating an open space that's public is really beneficial to that. I've seen kids having birthday parties outside on the street when it's closed like that. People get to congregate and be around each other and sort of and connect in a way that I haven't seen in the other places I've lived, when it's just cars cutting through and no one can really interact with each other. So that's my point.
Anyone wishing to speak, please, you have to sign in. As you speak, please. Thank you.
Hi, can you please clarify when we are favoring or opposing the petition?
What does the petition say?
Close Moody Street.
To cars or pedestrians, please clarify.
Did you let you agree with closing it?
Are we closing Moody Street to cars or to pedestrians in this proposal?
If I check off that I favor the petition, does that mean I favor closing it to cars or not? If I favor the petition, that means that I close it.
If the numbers in favor of closing the street,
Two vehicles.
Okay.
to closing the street.
And it's not, it's
Oh, two
here's the
vehicles.
closing.
Yeah, okay, two vehicles.
Just so we get a number.
Thank you to the last speaker, and thank you to all of you for being here, and thank you to Clerk Bizarre for the clarification on that. I appreciate it. My name is Emily Superior. I live at 308 Lake Street, Waltham. Big fan of the Moody Street pedestrianization, what is being referred to tonight as the closing of Moody Street to cars. I support Ward 9 Councilor Jonathan Paz's proposal for a pilot program that really continues the basic structure of what has been in place the last 3 years, which I think is a great idea. It allows us to continue to gather information, allows us to continue to make decisions based on information, based on data, to do research, to continue to engage with the community, all of our community, our business owners, our residents, our visitors, people who spend money at businesses from all over Waltham, all over the state, beyond. And I think that Councilor Paz's proposal is safer. I think it is more environmentally friendly, and I think that it is more financially sound. So I urge you all to vote in favor of continuing with Councilor Paz's pilot program proposal, which he refers to as the Summer Moody Market. And I want to clarify that the proposal that the mayor has put forward is not safe, is not environmentally sustainable, and the Traffic Commission itself has admitted it is not a good plan. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Cooper. I live on Taylor Street, and many of the speakers spoke eloquently for the reasons of opposing the shutdown, which I agree with. So I'd like to speak a little bit more about the people who have to be subject to the shutdown and live on the side streets. I live on Taylor Street, as I said. I have to personally go down 6 extra streets every time I just want to go up Moody Street and take a left. That now becomes 7 turns before I get back to Moody Street. Worse than that is Taylor Street is very narrow, and when the shutdown happens, it becomes a Wild West. I have called the city in the first year. They put up a wrong way sign. Now, I don't know how the city zones their signs, but it's on the wrong side. So if you turn around and you're going the wrong way, it's not on your right side where you can see it. It's behind in the trees, over on the left side behind parked cars. So I wrote my councilman a year later. Same thing, put more signs up. Another wrong way sign, again on that side, hardly visible. I can't notice it at all. So one time I'm at home, and I hear screaming out in front of my house, many voices screaming. Open the front shade, look. There's 2 cars going the wrong way, 4 or 5 cars going the right way, several people out of their cars screaming. Cops were there, cops got involved. I go out and talk to one of the officers after it happened, and I said, can you do something about this? I contacted the city, I contacted my councilman. This continues to happen, and he said, yes, we're going to take care of it when we address this. Has not happened. So one night I'm out reading, and I said, you know what, I'm reading on the front porch, it's still light out, it's summer, and I said, I'm going to count how many times people go the wrong way. So the first part went through, I looked at my phone, 7 cars in 34 minutes going the wrong way on a very narrow street. Anybody who's ever been on Taylor Street, it's super narrow. And people that are turning, I don't know what their issue is, but maybe they're frustrated because they can't get to Moody Street or something, but they're angry. So they're doing 35 to 40. They go up on the sidewalk, sometimes on the lawns. Nothing's being done about it. The city kind of turns a blind eye to it. I saw a kid almost get killed because, yeah, we should look both ways even on a one-way street, but he looked the correct way, and the car was flying the other way. I've almost been hit coming out of my driveway. My next-door neighbor's almost been hit coming out of my driveway. So again, when is this going to end? As the doctor said, COVID, the mandate ends, or the government recognized it being over on May 11th. We don't need this anymore. Businesses can run full on, they can open up they don't have to have minimal seating or everything else. So again, I am adamantly opposed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tom Benavides. I live at 308 River Street. I'll go first. And I just wanted to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to provide public input. I really do appreciate your commitment to engaging with the public you serve. And on that note, I would like to draw your attention to the public input session that Councilor Paz hosted for the same purpose a few weeks back. Not to say that this isn't valuable, I really do appreciate y'all hosting this, but just because I know many people who spoke then were not able to make it today. I just want you to know that there was an incredible near unanimous support from residents for closing Moody Street to cars. And Paz did a wonderful job of reaching out and having conversations with both residents and business owners, many of whom are also not able to make it here today. So I'd highly recommend considering this plan, which took everyone's interest into account. Second, I'd like to talk about pedestrian safety, because in the master plan input sessions last fall, a strong running theme was how dangerous it is to get around Waltham with auto car. And in every single ward, there were complaints of unmaintained sidewalks, of cars speeding down overly wide roads, and of a lack of safe bicycle infrastructure citywide. And while walking around the town, I have personally seen people pushing their strollers and taking their wheelchairs into the middle of the car lane because our sidewalks are so poorly maintained. This is an issue that plagues Waltham citywide, but there is exactly one place in Waltham where pedestrians can reliably feel safe, and that is Moody Street when it is closed to cars. I think we should be doubling down on how good this is. We should be expanding our safe pedestrian and bike infrastructure in Waltham, not shying away from it. So yes, I am a fan of closing Moody Street cars. Personally, I think it should be done year-round. And from a petition that circulated last year, I'm pretty sure there are hundreds in Waltham who agree with me. I have to say I'm a bit disappointed that we're having this meeting to discuss whether we should end the Moody Street shutdown, and I think a much better conversation would be whether we should be making it permanent. And I understand the traffic commission might not be ready to go that far, but at the very least, we should be having a discussion to not have to come back here again next year. I strongly urge you to vote to guarantee that for every summer for the foreseeable future, we can know that we will be closing Moody Street off to cars in the summers of 23, 2024, 2025, and beyond. And once we have that certainty, we should be gathering data. We should be making infrastructure improvements. Because it's crazy that our sidewalks connecting Moody Street parking lots to storefronts are so narrow and poorly maintained that it's not safe, as the business owners have mentioned, for people who are mobility impaired to make it from the parking lots to the storefronts that are only 50 feet away, but are narrow and unmaintained sidewalks right off of Moody Street just aren't safe for them. We should also be working to better direct traffic around the closed down Moody Street. It's my understanding that the traffic signals at either end have been adjusted, and so much of the complaints here have been that cars are acting dangerously and recklessly and putting lives at risk. But the answer to that is not to bring more cars to the Moody Street area. The solution is to have better, more thought out, and more permanent street changes and light changes and signal changes that it's safe for people to navigate and cars aren't putting people's lives at risk. And lastly, we should be collecting data on how the shutdown has affected local businesses, as they have also mentioned. I know many businesses here have been concerned about how this program affects their bottom line, but across the U.S., pedestrian has almost universally been associated with higher revenues for both retail and restaurant businesses alike, and I do not believe ending the Moody Street shutdown will necessarily solve their problems. We should be doing research, because I highly doubt Waltham is any exception to the nationwide trend. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for being here and listening to constituent input. I just want to be quick. I had a really only positive experience with the Moody Street being close to cars, pedestrian only, the dining outside. It makes it much easier to get down there and park in one of the lots, use the businesses, use the restaurants, invite friends over. And I think to me, the proposal that makes the most sense is the one that Jonathan Paz put forward a couple weeks ago. It was called Summer Moody Market. It is a time frame of June 1st to September 30th, so I believe that may be a little bit shortened than what we've had in the past. But most importantly, it includes a section at the bottom that says long-term planning, a 3-year pilot program to collect data on critical matters. I don't know if the city of Waltham has been collecting data. I mean, obviously this is collecting data, collecting input, but this is mostly just us telling stories. Like for me, it's only been positive. For other people, it's maybe different. So I agree with people that have spoken before that we need to be collecting, hard data, statistics. What is the traffic actually getting worse? How much time is being added? Is there an increase or a decrease in the number of car accidents, people getting hit, stuff like that? So to me, this just makes the most sense. I would urge all of you to support the plan that is the one PAS put forward, especially because it's a 3-year pilot program, so we can make improvements. Because the way that we've been shutting down these streets of cars maybe isn't perfect. There's definitely improvements, but I would be surprised if there weren't solutions that we could find as a city to address some of there are valid concerns, especially when it comes to people with mobility issues. So just urge you to support that plan. I would like to see Moody Street closed to cars for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Zumas. I live at 32 Cutter Street. And again, I'd like to thank you all for providing this opportunity again to get some feedback from residents and business owners. I am here in support of a pedestrian Moody Street. Additionally, I support specifically Councillor Paz's proposal. His proposal, importantly, as a number of people have mentioned, includes data collection and a commitment to making it a 3-year plan so we don't find ourselves in the same position next year. I shared my support for pedestrian Moody with the Traffic Commission before last year's input meeting, before this year's input meeting, and again at Councillor Paz's input meeting at the beginning of March. At all of these meetings, I heard overwhelming response from residents for support of a pedestrian Moody Street. As a resident who lives less than half a mile away from Moody Street, I echo my neighbors' voices. It's an amazing addition to our neighborhood, especially for families with children, and it's one of the reasons we particularly moved to Waltham. I work in public health, and I want to talk a little bit about what a pedestrian Moody Street means for the health and well-being of the residents of Waltham. Spoiler alert, it's not just about outdoor dining. I do thank the city for coming up with this back in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, but public health is more than just COVID. We can still continue to improve public health through a pedestrian Moody Street. In public health, we have this concept called the social determinants of health. These are the conditions in the environment where people are born, live, learn, work, play, worship, and age that affect people's health, well-being, and quality of life. And there are 2 in particular that come to mind when I think about pedestrian Moody Street. They're the neighborhood and built environment and the social and community context. We don't have cul-de-sacs on the neighborhoods in this side of Waltham, right? Many homes don't have backyards, and if they do, they're small. Pedestrian Moody Street becomes an extension of our backyards, of our open space. As a number of people have talked about, the streets aren't safe for kids to be out running around. When it is pedestrian, the air is cleaner to breathe. There's less noise and environmental pollution from cars. Kids can run, play, and bike free of worry about a driver hitting them. These are all linked to reduced asthma in kids, fewer toxic pollutants being released into our environment, and fewer motor vehicle crashes. Pedestrian Moody Street also builds community and strengthens social ties. This is a place where you can run into your neighbor or a friend in the street and stop and talk a while. Kids meet other kids and adults and learn how to engage in meaningful ways with the world around them. Positive relationships with people at home, at work, and in the community reduce anxiety and depression, increase resilience to stress and challenges, and reduce bullying. But we need a long-term plan. We can't be back here every year hashing out the same pros and cons. It's not productive for anybody. So a 3-year plan is really critical so that the city can address some of the issues that have been brought up by residents and business owners. These are all policy decisions. There are solutions to each of these should our elected officials choose to dedicate the time and efforts to solving them. Addressing these issues will benefit the residents of Waltham all year, not just in the season when Moody is pedestrian. Pedestrian Moody can be a space that improves the health, well-being, and quality of life for all Waltham residents. Please commit to a 3-year plan for a pedestrian Moody. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Preston McGillius. I'm a resident at 309 Newton Street. Thank you for taking the time with us today to give input. I'm in support of opening the Moody Street to pedestrians, so closing it down to cars. I think that while we're no longer looking at the COVID focus as much for Moody Street, it provides a lot of good for the town in terms of making Moody Street more lively. I've been a resident here for going on 9 years. In the past couple of years, I've seen more people walking up and down Moody Street than ever in the past. Now, going in this direction, there are a lot of small things that very clearly we have to work through, but there's opportunities with more long-term permanent setups where, whether it's not exploring mechanized haulers so that emergency vehicles can quickly go down Moody Street, or situations where we're adjusting parking hours and fees so that the areas are available when they need to be for residents. Right now, you can try to park in some of those lots at peak hours when people are trying to dine, and it will be completely slammed, so all the parking is used up. Maybe the rates need to be higher, or the hours need to change so it's metered over a different period. That can really change the availability of parking. And some of the frustration comes down to people not being able to find anything, and people just leaving their car for the rest of the day and the low fees for those lots. There were some people mentioning the concerns over cars backing up and reckless or inconsiderate driving behavior. Some of that may help pedestrians and residents avoid those interactions with dangerous cars. As some people express concern about backing up over curbs or into buildings. This gives a safe space and a third space for residents, allowing an opportunity to interact with each other in a calm, quieter area where they can take a look at different restaurants, stores, services in a manner that's different than what they've experienced in the past. And it would definitely take some time to work out exactly how that needs to be done. So I'm in support of Councilor Paz's proposal for it being a multi-year study where we're taking concrete data and then it's reported and digested, and then there can be a better long-term decision made. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Moody, and I'm an 8-year resident of Waltham. I'm an enthusiastic supporter of the effort to pedestrianize Moody Street. It's meant a lot to me to see the transformation during the summer years from a medical response to the COVID situation, but it's really evolved into something more and feels a lot more like an opportunity for us to do a lot to look at other problems. We're talking about parking, we're talking about traffic, and while traffic may be diverted from Moody Street to somewhere else, maybe parking on Moody Street is something that we've gotten used to, but this is an opportunity for us to look at, well, we need to do something with the parking and reduce speeds around the city because people drive too fast. Maybe it's more enforcement of the speeds that are already there, but I don't see how the issue of closing Moody Street to cars is going to somehow make worse the issue of cars and traffic problems more generally. I concur with previous speakers about supporting infrastructure that enables people to work first. And this really is an opportunity for us to look at all these issues that everyone's looking up. So for consideration of handicapped individuals in particular, I know that when you consider the current system of opening Moody Street to individuals, that's a much more welcoming environment for people who need the space in order to take full advantage of their mobility situation. When Moody Street previously, before it was open to pedestrians, previously you're trying to force people with mobility issues into crowded summer sidewalks. It's more of an issue than being able to walk in the street. So allowing access to them into the middle of the road provides a much greater opportunity and a more welcoming environment. I look forward to hopefully seeing this proposal. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm involved 223 Waltham Street. I've been involved there for about 15 years now, so I am in favor of the petition, considering to pedestrianize Moody Street for this coming summer and the summers to come. So for the past 3 years, with your support, the support of the Traffic Commission, Waltham has had something that no other nearby city in eastern Massachusetts has had, a fully pedestrianized main street in the heart of the city. Gives residents, gives children an opportunity to see their city in a different way. not from strapped into a car seat, not from a passenger seat, but to see their city, to patronize businesses, to see storefronts, without having to worry about the danger of cars, the danger of bad drivers. Many of the earlier speakers here talk on nonstop about the bad drivers that are in Waltham. We are all aware of the bad drivers, the crashes that happen on a seemingly daily basis here. If anything, that's a reason to keep cars far away from Moody Street, not allow them onto Moody Street. As a parent of a young kid, a 6-year-old, I think any parent knows the feeling of letting their child walk ahead on the street, constantly fearing a distracted driver on his phone is not going to see that kid suddenly go into the crosswalk and hit him. A Moody Street that's closed to cars during the duration of the summer gives kids in particular a chance to see their city that they really can't experience anywhere else, when parents are constantly worried about distracted drivers, about cars blocking the crosswalk, parked right on the crosswalk, which again happens all too often. Being primarily a pedestrian and someone who rides a bike to get around Moody Street, I'm well aware of the dangers that bad drivers present here. So someone else earlier mentioned about it being a ghost town during daytime when there's a lack of seating. Well, that's a reason to invest in the street, to add amenities. When we take space away from parked cars, we now have space for amenities such as public seating that's not tied to restaurants or tied to cafes. So if anything, that's a reason to invest in the street, not to just continue the status quo and allow cars onto the street. So finally, as I said earlier, I don't just support it for this summer, I support a commitment, a multi-year commitment to whatever decision is made so that we don't have to yet again come back here March of 2024. Right, I was in the audience here in March of 2022 when this exact same public hearing was held. Council Paz's had a session earlier this month. The exact same arguments were made. So whatever decision is made, if this decision is made to pedestrianize Moody Street, please make it a multi-year commitment. Give us time, give you guys time to study impacts on traffic, impacts on businesses year to year, and give us the opportunity to tweak it and improve things year by year, as opposed to having to do this same exact process every single March going forward for the next couple of years. Thank you.
My name is Sophia Dominguez. I co-manage a building at 282 Moody Street, where we have a number of businesses, a couple of restaurants, and a fitness business as well. So as I've listened to both the pros and cons today, the thing that strikes me most is how I really want Moody Street to thrive. I want our tenants to thrive. We don't run the businesses ourselves. We just want people to want to come to this building and to come to this neighborhood. And if we create an environment, and I think our Moody Street restaurants anyway, are competing not just with other Moody Street restaurants, but they're competing with 128 restaurants. They're coming up all over the place where it's easy for people to go to the Federal, they can go to Burlington. And these are the people that dine from Lexington, Belmont, Waltham, Newton. I think we want to make Moody Street a place where people want to come and that there isn't a tremendous barrier to getting here. And so I am really opposed to the street being closed because I think by allowing safety, I'm not saying we should have people speeding down the road, but allowing people to get to Moody Street, to dine, would be helpful and would create a nice environment for the people who live in the neighborhood. I mean, I think, I would like to walk in the neighborhood and go to a local restaurant and not have my optometrist go out of business, or have my dance studio go out of business, or have, other restaurants go out of business. I would like to support that. And I think the businesses are kind of overwhelmingly saying, please help us have a business that can be supported. The other thing is, I don't know whether a lot of people are espousing, certain social programs and things, but no one really has the data, it seems, to make a decision that would be sound. And I would encourage everyone to really get the data, as opposed to anecdotal data of what it's like to walk on the street. So my fundamental premise is that I would love for you all to make a decision based on what will help these businesses create the neighborhoods that I think we want, and to make Waltham more competitive, and make Waltham a great place to be. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matt Burke. I live at 29 Palmer Street here in Waltham. I would say that I am in favor of making Moody Street pedestrian-only access in the warm months. I think like many of the folks that have spoken before me, I also would like to see the data, and I hope the decision is data-driven. However, I'll offer a few anecdotal stories. The first is living in Waltham, my wife and I and our daughter have friends in the communities all around 128 surrounding Boston. Last summer and the summer before, almost every time we met friends for dinner at night in the warmer months, they came to Waltham to eat in Moody Street because of the outdoor dining. We never went to one of our friends' towns or cities to eat because of the opportunity to eat outside in Waltham on a closed street. And it made me really proud to be a Waltham resident, to have them come and see Waltham. I would also say that I have developed relationships with the other businesses on Moody Street because of the opportunity to eat there. I can think my wife and I, after eating one night last summer, walked by Elfman's and wound up having our floor redone by them because we didn't know that there was a flooring store there. But because we were walking down Moody Street after having dinner, we saw it, called them. A few days later, went in, excuse me, and then worked with them to get some home projects done. So I love having a pedestrian-only Moody Street in the summertime. I think it's one of the best parts of living in Waltham. I would love to see it continue for a few more years. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Josette Akrish Gonzalez. I live at 26 Leonard Street, and my husband Mike Gonzalez teaches at the high school. I have 2 kids who go to school in Waltham. We love pedestrian Moody in the summer. I'm here to just add my voice to the chorus of Waltham residents in support of Councilor Paz's proposal for a 4-month pedestrian Moody Street. When I picture our Moody Street in the summer, I see folks on foot, riding bikes, scooters, people in wheelchairs, skateboards, laughing, talking, meeting our neighbors and friends for lunch, for coffee, for dinner, walking into stores, buying macarons, going into Lizzie's and having some ice cream. It's just a beautiful sight. We love eating outside in the summer in the cool night air. We love the vibrant atmosphere of our city on Moody Street when it's full of people and not cars. Let's make Moody a destination, pretty it up with benches and trees and landscaping, and there won't be any confusion by drivers of, oh, we can't go down Moody anymore. It'll look like a pedestrian plaza. I don't like the language that the street is closed. Let's be clear, the street would be closed to cars, but would remain open to people. People who don't have to look both ways, but can casually and happily walk down the street. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margaret Downs. I live at 188 Adams Street. I have since 2019. And I'd like to speak in favor of a pedestrianized Moody Street. The last few summers, the pedestrianized Moody Street has really made Waltham a place to be, a destination that people want to go. When I have friends and family who want to visit from neighboring towns, they always comment on how unique and special the pedestrianized Moody Street is. And just anecdotally from my own experience, I've had the opportunity to stop into businesses that I didn't realize were there and support them because I happen to be walking and not driving. And so I think we're in a really interesting position here to gather data and understand some of the drawbacks to pedestrianizing Moody Street and work around those, but I am in support of the pilot program to gather data and reach a solution that makes Moody Street more accessible for everyone.
Hello,
live in Ward 9, about a mile from Moody Street. I am a fourth grader at dual language school at 510 Moody Street. I'm here to support Councilor Paz's plan. I really enjoyed it when Moody Street was closed to traffic for the past 3 summers. It was great to be able to walk up and down the street and not worry about getting hit by cars. I especially love outdoor dining with my friends and family, and I can run around outside on the street after I am done eating while the adults sit and chat. I also enjoy the fresh air that most restaurants can't offer when Moody Street is open to cars. I see a lot of my friends from my school on Moody Street too. Because we live about a mile away, we prefer to ride our bikes along the Charles River bike path to get to Moody Street. It is much better for our health and for the environment than driving a car. And sometimes it's even faster because we are not stuck in traffic or looking for a parking spot. What I would like to see is more bike parking on or near Moody Street, because there are very few bike racks to lock our bikes.
Hi, my name is Yukwan. I'm Matthew's mom. My husband and I have been living in Waltham since 2008, and he and I like it so much that we decided to buy a house here and raise our child here, goes to Waltham Public School. What I'm here tonight is I'm here to support Councilor Pass's plan. He held a town hall meeting a few weeks ago to get input from residents and businesses, and after that he proposed his plan, and his plan is well thought out, and we also like that it's a 3-year pilot study, so we don't have to come back next spring and the spring after that and the spring after that to talk about this again. What I would like to say is it's not closing Moody Street, it's actually opening up Moody Street to all pedestrians, all residents of Waltham, and doing it in the summer months. It can bring out more residents where they can gather, build a sense of community, and enjoy the Moody Street businesses, what they can offer. We do like outdoor dining, not only a pleasant experience, but also a safer alternative for some of our more vulnerable residents as well. And I know if I have a choice, I'd rather enjoy the ambience of outdoor dining than drive out to 128 and go sit inside an air-conditioned restaurant myself. Finally, to go back to what my son was saying about bike parking on Moody Street, I know there are a lot of people are against people riding their bikes on Moody Street when it's close to traffic. If that's the case, can we have more bike parking around Moody Street at the municipal lots so that we can actually park our bikes along with the cars, and then we can all walk onto Moody Street safely? Thank you.
My name is Eric Wharton. I've owned my house on Beach Street since 2011, and I'd like to speak out in favor of closing Moody Street to vehicle traffic. In my experience, I've had no problems with traffic increases because of the closure. I've had no problems getting around the closure. I've had no problems getting to the parking lots or around the various vehicles or around the various businesses on Moody Street. Additionally, my friends and family love coming to Waltham during the summer, specifically for the outdoor dining and the other open businesses in the pedestrian pathway. As far as vehicle traffic goes, I know that even outside of the summer months without the closure, there are dangerous driving on the surrounding streets is always an issue, whether the Moody Street is closed or not. But we need to remember to compare that against the extreme levels of mixed traffic currently between pedestrian and vehicle traffic on Moody Street. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jameson. I live on Ash Street, and I also work on Moody Street. And I walk every day to work and come home at lunch to walk my dog every day. I spend a lot of time on Moody Street, and I almost get hit by cars a lot. So the idea of removing vehicles from Moody Street is going to make it more dangerous is a little interesting to me. That being said, some things that I have learned about walking commute when I've driven in the past is when you drive through a community, when you walk in a community. I notice the same people. I may not say hi to them because it's scary sometimes, but I notice the same people, and I'm sure they notice me. And that feels nice, it feels good. And closing Moody Street to vehicles is just a better way to be in the community. When I go and enjoy a beer at my nice restaurants, I see people, again, maybe the same people I see commuting via walking. I see my friends on dates. I see my friends out, and I say, why didn't you invite me? But it's just a fun time, you know? So it's not just about those fun times, it's about creating a community. We did this for COVID to help our restaurants to make sure they survived COVID, but we found something really special. We found a way to grow our community, to make our community better. So as a resident, as someone who walks on Moody Street all the time, my recommendation would be Councilor Paz's to close Moody Street for 3 years and get some data. But thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Patty Bellini. I'm 1971 in here since. So if anybody knows how Moody Street was back in the day, drug dealing, hookers, addicts, couldn't walk there, period. I wasn't allowed to go to South Waltham. I lived in North Waltham. My father's Italian. What are you nuts? He wouldn't let me go out there. But now, not only do I work in South Waltham, I live in South Waltham, and the sense of community that we have on Moody Street by it being closed, and if we do it for the next 3 years, close it, that gives restaurants opportunities to hire more people, open during the day, so it won't be a ghost town, because right now, nothing's written in stone. So how can restaurants open in the afternoon? They can't have their employees run and work 14, 15 hours a day. That's crazy, but they would love to hire more people. So why don't we just keep it open for 3 years? Keep the restaurants open, keep them going, everybody has a good time, people know everybody, sense of community, family. We can do more family events on Moody Street. We have Riverfest. My dogs won best in show, just so you know. But everybody knows my girls, I got 2 huskies and they're trotting around everywhere. You know what? Just think about it. I mean, I do understand the elderly have a hard time walking around. Let's fix the sidewalks for them. Let's make it let's compromise. But if we do keep it open and keep the streets closed for 3 years, then it gives restaurants opportunity to hire more people, and they'll show you that we can still make this community work, and Waltham is great. It already is. Make it better. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Teresa Donahoe. I live at 19 Robbins Street, and I'm here to speak in favor of closing Moody Street to vehicle traffic, and specifically in favor of Councilor Paz's proposal. I would echo most of the points that have already been made, but I would just like to add my personal experience. I first started visiting Moody Street in December 2020 when it was closed to vehicle traffic for the first time. I had never really spent any time in Waltham before that, but around that time I started visiting with my friends after we would go kayaking in Waltham or in Newton, because it was someplace we could go and enjoy outdoor dining and feel safe at the height of COVID. And I fell in love with it, and that was a big part of what motivated me to move to Waltham a year after that. So I've been here for the past 2 years, have greatly enjoyed being able to take advantage of a pedestrianized Moody Street. And I would also like to add that it continues to draw my friends from surrounding communities. I frequently go out on Moody Street with my friends who live in Newton and Watertown, and sometimes even Somerville and Cambridge, because pedestrianized Moody Street is, as other people have noted, so unique. One other point I would like to make, when I first started visiting Moody Street, I was normally getting there by bike. I walk, bike, and drive in the community. So I appreciate the concerns of people who fall into all of those categories. There is absolutely a need for more bike parking on Moody Street. My friends and I have never had significant difficulties with parking vehicles. Sometimes you do have to drive around a little bit, but there is always parking within reasonable walking distance on the side streets. Bike parking, on the other hand, is a little bit tricky. So that would be very much appreciated, along with pedestrianizing Moody, at least for the next several years. And I would also eventually like to see it made permanent. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given us to voice out our feelings about closing monopolies in the street. I'm against the option given to close the street. I'm a father of 5 and all grown up here in Waltham, and I want to thank you again for the parks and all the great work you've done behind the scene, because we have like tremendous areas to play and our kids enjoy off the street. I am running a store at 318 Moody Street, but most of those buildings have one door, which is only the front door. So that's the entry and offloading and loading of most of the goods. So closing the street for that period of time, it kills most of the businesses during that time, because Moody Street, it's not only restaurants, but it's a mixture of other businesses as well. So closing it, it kills the other businesses which are operating different, goods like, selling goods like mine and other people. So I'm not in favor of that, but I appreciate the opportunity for us to come and voice us out how we feel. I've lived here for the last 22 years, but I've not seen tremendous accidents on Moody Street as people have access outside Moody Street. So, and this city, Main Street and Moody Street are the hearts of this city where most of the people come to visit and shop and eat. So the convenience, or what brings the light to those streets, is the convenience of them parking and grabbing what they want to do, and easily in and easily out. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Jeff Vecchio. I'm actually a landlord who owns 299 to 309 Moody Street. And it's important for me to speak today. I feel like most of the people I've heard take the podium at this meeting, with all due respect, have no real skin in the game and have presented somewhat half-baked ideas. And what I mean by that is, let's hear from more non-restaurant tenants, landlords, developers, people who actually have a real financial investment into Moody Street and largely dictate what the future fabric of that street is going to entail, myself included. Frankly, any closure, I believe, is misguided, irresponsible, and really negligent. Many people speaking in favor of this proposal are doing so as a matter of their personal convenience. People have been asking for data at this hearing tonight. I have data. It's called tenant sales reports. I have tenants who report sales to me, quarterly basis, annual basis, wherever the case may be. And I have direct data showing that the months that Moody Street is closed, tenant sales take a dive for the worse. These are not restaurant tenants, these are retailers, mattress store, Family Dollar, local necessity type of products. And that's our data. That's not, it's black or white. And it's broken down by month. It's very clear. There's a correlation. Frankly, this caters largely to restaurant operators only. This hurts all other small businesses and service providers. As a landlord and someone who has a serious financial investment in Moody Street, I can tell you that these proposals to close the street deter new investment into the street and deter a diverse group of tenants, specifically non-restaurant tenants, to want to set up shop. Attracting these types of tenants has been increasingly challenging and handicapped since COVID. It's hard enough as a commercial landlord to get people to invest in your community, but when they come in and they're handicapped on day one, knowing that the street's going to be closed, it's a non-starter for most of these people, especially those who don't want to start a restaurant and depend on easy accessibility, traffic, parking, etc., etc. Moody Street used to be vibrant and shoulder to shoulder, people walking up and down the street on weekends, just window shopping, etc. Now most visitors primarily come to Moody Street for one sole purpose, to patronize a particular restaurant. There is a large psychological aspect to the street closure. Many view Moody Street as off limits and too difficult to get to, in a complete cluster. For the last several years, people driving up Moody Street have been greeted by barbaric Jersey barriers, metal gates, do not enter signs. It couldn't scream more unwelcoming if you tried, honestly. Many of the businesses rely on their customers, clients, and patients to be able to be dropped off and picked up in front of their place of business. Specifically, I'll take Family Dollar, who I have close knowledge of. Many people shop here as their local convenience store, variety store. They shop there for their daily necessities. Many of those people come out with stout bags, a carriage, and a lot of them are not the type of people who are able to walk blocks away back to their car with shopping bags and everything else. These people get dropped off in front of the store, they call someone, they get picked up when they're done, elderly people, disabled people, what have you. In terms of an operational standpoint, deliveries are seriously handicapped and negatively impact business operations for many. Some of these people get deliveries on off hours on weekends. It's not always Monday to Friday. Oftentimes delivery drivers are confused and are met with those same Jersey barriers I mentioned before. They don't know how to get up the street, whether it's Coca-Cola delivery, whether it's a mattress delivery, whether it's a food delivery. They end up circling and circling, and they're not sure what to do. There's been previous arguments that the timeline is only during warm weather months. The seasonal argument is flawed. Those warm weather months are often the most critical in a retailer's or service business's success. These non-restaurant businesses should not be handicapped at any particular time of the year. As Mr. Garvin pointed out a couple of weeks ago at a traffic commission hearing, a model can work where two-lane traffic and parking are both preserved. This is a tried and true model in other cities across the Commonwealth. The North End in Boston, which has far more issues with traffic and width of street, has navigated that with much success. A proposal that lets restaurants on the sidewalk and curb and keeps traffic open is possible. It's the only equitable way to do things. Any closure is negligent and flies in the face of those businesses who rely on the flow of traffic and accessible curbside parking. 1 hour parking can be modified to 30-minute parking. I've talked to some who are concerned that the turnover of parking spots has been shown to be problematic at times. I'm proposing to modify 1 hour parking to 30-minute parking to allow greater turnover of parking spots so people can come in and out and the parking spots are not monopolized by people who are going to businesses and working there or what have you. So the more people that feel like Moody Street is welcoming and are coming from other communities and are relying on transportation in the car, the more of those people who can drive in and out of Moody Street, the more eyeballs are on Moody Street. And that is the best advertising Waltham and Moody Street can have. So to do away with that, Moody Street is not the place to turn into a public park. And lastly, weekend nights have turned into a convenient skate park with no enforcement, which is paramount. It's become quite a convenient skate park. I don't think anybody here wants to see that. So, I mean, that's just one of the other negative fallouts of this whole thing. On the list of importance, that's probably one of them, but, I mean, I'm sure most of you have been down there, but all you hear is clank, clank with these skateboards, and I'm sure they're thrilled, but there's another place they can take their skateboards. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Gonzalez. I live on 26 London Street, and I go to high school here in Waltham. I want to argue that closing Moody Street to cars is a good decision because it's more safe for pedestrians, and because of something called induced demand, which is that if you close a lane or you open a new lane on a street, it won't make the traffic any better or any worse, because people will then go to that street to get around the traffic. It'll fill up and then it's the same as it was before. So by closing down Moody Street, you're basically removing, I think it's 4 lanes, but I'm not sure because I only go there when it's closed to cars, so I don't know how many lanes there are. But because if you open it, then that's adding that amount of lanes to that bypass. And if you close it, it's closing that amount of lanes. It's not going to change the amount of traffic that is passing through. So it's just going to change whether or not you can walk on Moody Street itself. And everywhere in America that they've closed down streets, it's increased revenue for stores nearby. We don't actually have real data to prove whether or not that's happening here in Waltham. So I think that we should do pauses plan and close it down for 3 years and get actual official data about this, so that after those 3 years we can make a decision that's completely based on empirical evidence. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Miles Sennhauser. I live on the corner of Bacon and School Street. I've owned the house there since 2015. I live around and I'm very happy to see lots of restaurant owners and operators who I recognize from my time spent on the street. So cut to the chase, I support a rendition of John Paz's plan. Specifically, I support the idea of a strategic closure for an extended period of time so we can study it and so we can be intentional and strategic. I want to thank the mayor and the city for the reactive actions that were taken during COVID to protect the restaurant industry that we have in Waltham by closing Moody Street initially. I think we've extended that reactive nature of closing it for the continual 3 years. And while the complaints we're hearing about are a result of that reactive nature of it, we can do better. We know this. We have the resources available to us. We haven't applied them. And so that's what I'm asking the city to do. So looking at renditions of plans over the next 3 years. The 3 years are hard for businesses, but at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to plan for them, right? The fact that every year that we're having this discussion, both as a population of residents as well as business owners, that's the challenge, right? You can't actually plan for that knowing what business is going to be like. For those who have data, please share it with the city in an anonymized format. I would love to see that. And then also, if anyone has spent time on Church Street up in Burlington, Vermont, please reach out to Burlington and ask how they made that transition possible. asked how they've actually done and handled the deliveries. It's been interesting. I have spent a lot of time on Church Street at all hours of the day. There are lots of problems. They also have a very extended police force when there are going to be those problems. Other times they've actually been able to manage it. Again, we can be strategic. We can turn Moody Street into an even larger asset that no other city around us is willing to do. It's going to take courage, and we can actually approach that and deliver it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Caven. I live at 106 Weatherby Road in the Cedarwood neighborhood. I am a third-generation Waltham resident. My grandfather bought the house in the 50s. My dad grew up in it, and then I inherited the house. I actually grew up in Bedford, but when you inherit a house, you don't say no. So I landed in Waltham. It was not necessarily a place that I saw myself ending up. But I could not be more excited to be here, and certainly the Moody Street closure during COVID contributed to that feeling of excitement for me. Certainly I have many friends, relatives who continue to come to Moody Street to enjoy it. I have taken my cousins, my little cousins who I babysit out on Moody Street. So in general, I support the closure plan and Councilor Paz's proposal. I do want to really acknowledge and appreciate, I'm not sure what the landlord's name was who spoke, that perspective of the small businesses on Moody Street. I think some of our small businesses are some of our longest standing tenants. We all know restaurants, right? They tend to turn over pretty quickly. Many of our small businesses have been here for generations. I think we need to believe the data, as the landlord said. We have the sales data, right? If these small businesses were seeing record sales, none of them would be complaining about the closures. They're obviously experiencing problems. I think all those problems hopefully can be addressed with some long-term planning. So I would love to see those of us who have skin in the game, those of us who take skin in the game, right? Those of us who are going to benefit from the experience, whether that be adding a Moody Street service fee to restaurant bills so that some of the restaurant revenue can go to support some of the other businesses. I think parking in Waltham is insanely cheap relative to parking in Boston or Cambridge or Somerville or some of our surrounding communities. Thinking of ways that we could support parking to support revenue. Maybe there's some sort of fund that we could create to support some of these small businesses, help them with long-term plans. And maybe in the long term, the mix of businesses on Moody Street might change so that there are, more, boutique type things. If we're thinking about Burlington, Vermont, or some of, Ithaca, New York, some of these places, they have a little bit, cater more to that pedestrian thoroughfare. And maybe over the long term, there will be a shift in businesses, but I think we need to support those businesses and make sure that everyone can find a home and that we're supporting them in the long term. Certainly, I would like to volunteer, to support with, helping with parking. Maybe there's things that we could do, engage high school students, with helping elderly folks. I think there's all kinds of creative solutions you could come up with to engage the community, and for all of us who appreciate the closures and who are going to benefit from it, particularly from the restaurants, what are ways that we can support through our dollars, through our time, through our effort to ensure that all small businesses are equally benefiting, and those who might experience some short-term struggles can either help to be long-term successful on Moody Street or potentially find a location that is more ideal for their particular population who they're serving. I think we also need to recognize that probably the people who are choosing to come to a meeting like this are the ones who, in many cases, aside from maybe the small businesses, are most benefiting. The folks who have the mobility issues, who are the elderly folks who are, very low income, have minimum time. Maybe they're not the ones at this meeting, right? So let's try to be advocates for all those people, for all the stakeholders, and come with a plan that works for everyone.
Hi there, my name is Michelle. I live at 35 Pine Street. I'm just within a block of the Moody Street closure. I support Councilor Paz's plan to commit to a summer meeting market for the next 3 years. I think there's a lot lot of people here, they don't want to be coming back year after year to be debating this. I really respect all the issues and concerns that my fellow citizens have brought up tonight, and I see them as policy decisions that we can work on improving for the businesses, for the citizens, making it a really safe and accessible space for everybody to thrive there. I myself is living in that neighborhood. I've enjoyed that area so much. I've gone to so many businesses and discovered new places that I love in my community. And I really want to see the pedestrianization of Moody become something of permanent fixture in Waltham. I think it would be great for us. Thank you.
My name is Jeff Adler. I'm the owner of Bistro 71 on Moody Street. I first just want to come up and talk about the dates that have been proposed so far. I've heard so much stuff that I'm reacting at, but I'd like to have this open in May, Mother's Day. Not that everybody's aware, but there's Mother's Day, there's college graduations, there's communions. All that takes a toll on the restaurants, and right now we're losing guests to Newton in Watertown because we can't take them all. So if we have outdoor seating earlier, we could accommodate that. With that being said, I've heard a lot about the environment and what the closure of Moody Street does. I think less cars makes for a better environment. That's just me. I've also worked on Moody Street on a daily basis. So if we look out our window at 5 o'clock, navigating down Moody Street for the police and fire, I would say it's pretty difficult. I think actually closure makes it easier because you can't get down Moody Street. I'm also born and raised in Waltham. I've been here for a long time. I'm not gonna say my age because I'm not gonna do that, but I've been here for a little bit. What Moody Street's become, especially when it's closed, is amazing. I mean, getting to sit there and look around and look outside the window and see families and people and dogs and smiles and people talking on their iPad, on their phone, and actually enjoying an outside event or an outside space is amazing. I come from a time in Waltham when we had a thing called the police league, and where I grew up in Waltham on Fountain Charles Street, we didn't really see police, or didn't talk to police. And when I played in the police league, we got to talk to police and realized they were awesome people. I finally get to go out on the street in the summer and see police patrolling the street and see them talking to kids in the community and to parents and to people and people have concerns and meeting the fire chief and all that. That's been great for our community. I mean, I think being able to just look at what Moody Street's become when it's closed is amazing. And for people to miss that, I think is blind. We talk about data. Our retail businesses are seasonal, right? So July, August, these are down months for restaurants as well. They're off for everybody. Yes, do we benefit from outdoor seating? Absolutely. Which is why we push for it, because it makes our sales better. But typically, those are very, very slow months for us. It's a ghost town. Suddenly we have outdoor dining and it's busier, but not just for us, for everybody. It's just a busier time and place because of the outdoor dining. We become a destination. I get these magazines. So I just got the Chamber of Commerce magazine. The front page is outdoor dining. Right? We bring the news, Waltham's in the news, Waltham, people know about Waltham. We come to it, oh, you're on Moody Street, I've been there outdoor dining. We've become a place, and that's a cool thing, not a bad thing. I think there's been a lot of innovation that's come with COVID. This is one of them. Like, we have to grow and progress and change things. And if this is a three-year deal, a 2-year deal, whatever it may be, we've done it for 3 years and it's worked, but 3 more year pilot program, whatever it may be, I think that's worth doing. Believe it or not, most people that get into the restaurant business, and I'll speak for myself, we got into it because it's a service. We service people. It's not just about us making money. So the outdoor dining, as much as it benefits us, it's also not easy. We have to hire a lot more people, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like my Yelp reviews go from a 5-star to a 3-star real quick because the 16-year-old host I just hired has no idea what she's doing, and not to her fault, but like that happens, right? Hiring a new chef in the kitchen, hiring new staff, and new bartenders, and all, that's a lot of work. But we do it because we're providing service. We do it because of what our community wants and needs, and we see that. So it's not just a bottom dollar thing. I don't even know if we make money, to be honest with you. I mean, it's busier, but there's a lot going on. And people have said, like, COVID's over and we've recovered. As a business person, I don't think we've recovered from COVID. We lost 3 years of business, and thankfully, we have outdoor dining to help us out, but the investment that went into that was not small. And please know that, like, there's no recovery. Because if you need it, you live another day and you keep going. You look forward and here we are. That's great and awesome. But there's no recovery. But we're not doing it to make money. There are no millionaire restaurant owners involved in it. Sorry. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is is Todd Fryatt. I own a business, 282 Moody Street. Our company is ECA Solar. We provide high-paying jobs for the renewable energy industry. We currently have 23 employees. We expect to get to 40 employees by the end of next year. We have a bit of a different perspective because we moved here as a business about 4 years ago from Marlboro. Our lowest paid job would be an associate level with the salary of $75,000 to $80,000 a year. We operate currently in 10 states. Again, we specialize in solar energy systems and battery storage systems. We moved to Waltham because, and specifically to Moody Street, because we didn't want to be in a generic, lifeless, sterile business park off of 128. We wanted something younger, more eclectic, more interesting. One of the many benefits that I provide is that the company buys lunch for everyone every single day. So we tend to eat very well. The large majority of that is on Moody Street. We support the strategic closing and the 3-year plan moving forward. The company itself is very in tune with wellness, corporate wellness. One of the programs we have is we do regular steps contests. The company bought everyone Fitbits, and so throughout the day we'll record how many people, what steps they get. And so on any given day we'll be walking up and down Moody Street during the closure. And so, for the most part, anything that's pedestrian friendly far outweighs and overcomes the minor inconveniences we have, whether it's parking, we have employees that take the train, and so forth. And so we're here to support the closing, and it's a little unusual for us to come down and speak at an event like this, but I want to thank you for your time today, and we're grateful for this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
My name is Damon Dawes. I live at 16A Gorham Street. I support pedestrianizing Moody Street. Looking at the two plans that were before us in the agenda today, the first mayor's proposal, I feel is very compromised. It creates a poor environment for anyone trying to dine outdoors, cars going by. It creates a poor environment for any of the residents on the streets who have their street become one-way and two-way, flipping throughout the week and losing street parking. For anyone who is trying to get through, it creates a very poor environment. There's ways that they can go down the street one day and they can't the other. The alternative solution is to do what we've done for 3 years. While I would support that, I think we can go further. We've heard today about a lot of the problems and issues that have been raised. And those are problems and issues that were raised in 2021, 2022, and now we're getting 2023. Just to continue to do the same, we're going to have these same discussions and these same problems. I support Councilor Paz's plan to be able to have a pilot program and look at some data. I understand some businesses may lose revenue in the summers. We also lose about 10,000 customers when all the Bentley and Brandeis students go home for the summer. I understand that it can be difficult to get from the parking lots to the businesses. Well, those sidewalks aren't great. We can have a lot of improvements there. When I go downtown, like downtown crossing in Boston, there were big signs that say, do not enter unless you're a delivery or emergency services. We don't need big metal grates and big Jersey barriers, with proper signage. And as some other people have said, the proper decor and streetscape, to make people aware that, hey, this isn't a road for cars anymore, this isn't a thoroughfare, it's really a pedestrian environment. Even as I was coming here today, traffic was backed up from the landing all the way, up to the tracks. Traffic isn't something that just happens when people live in the street. So I really love to have a pilot program where we can do this for 3 years and really take a hard look at data, both on the Moody Street businesses, Main Street businesses, other businesses in the area, and try to learn from our neighboring cities and towns who've done or tried to do similar things so that we can really make strategic investments and improvements to Moody Street and the surrounding area. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fernando. I also live at a restaurant on Moody Street. The first thing I want to say is suggest you get a big timer that shows 3 minutes. so we can move this thing along. So Leah supports a 3-year commitment to a plan. We also support a 4-month closure or partial closure, whatever you call it, because September is a very good month. It's a beautiful month. We support the hybrid plan, closing Thursday night through Sunday, because partially it's the access, partially it's the parking, partially it's all our reservations are late because they can't find parking, because they can't get to the restaurant, because everything's rerouted. So it's also incredibly detrimental for the other merchants. There are over 100 other merchants on the street other than restaurants. The main thing I've heard tonight is everybody loves to dine on Moody Street. Great, I'm thrilled. Thank you very much. The issue is it needs to be managed in a way where the other businesses don't go out of business. That's all I got.
Hi, Bill Doyle, resident at 25 Cabot Street here in Waltham. Full disclosure, I'm on the Conservation Commission, the CPC. I've been involved with Downtown Waltham Partnership, talking about this very issue and a bunch of other issues in the downtown, whether it be Main Street or Moody Street. I want to be full, when COVID first hit and we decided to close down Moody Street, I was kind of upset. I was upset because about 6 or 8 years earlier, Downtown Waltham Partnership, and I'm not involved so much with those guys right now, but we came with a plan to do just this. And we had to get in front of the Traffic Commission, and decisions were made, that's fine, it's what it was. But we proposed a very proactive ideas and concepts for how we could make Moody Street a destination. Destination not only for Waltham residents, but be the hub of the communities around us. People want to come here from Weston, they want to come here from Watertown, they want to come here from Newton. We need to make it accessible for them to get here. We need to give them a destination to get to. The Traffic Commission, I understand, and I know you guys are looking at a lot of stuff right now. It's definitely, I feel, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an entity that looks at how to get traffic through town safely, and has done a great job at it. We've got to look at how to get people to Moody Street, to Main Street, create Main Street and Moody Street as a safe destination for pedestrians, for electric bikes, for scooters, for skateboarders, for all the stuff that wants to come down here. It can be the hub of all the surrounding communities, and people will come here. There's not a lot of communities that can say they have a river that runs right through it. It has an incredible river walk that will deliver you right to Main Street and Moody Street. It will now have a future bike path that will get here. It will have, if you look at what happened in Watertown, with the massive amount of people that now live on the river in all the residential apartments that are there, all of those people are on that bike path and could take their bikes to Moody Street. They had places to park and a really nice destination to be at. I implore you guys, and it may not be the Traffic Commission, it may not be the Planning Department, we need to come up with a proactive, bigger plan solution. It may be a PAS plan, I haven't seen that yet, I'm really coming at this cold, and it's been discussed for a while. Really a larger master plan that looks at Moody Street, Main Street, how we create the downtown, to find the downtown and create it as a destination. Because if the downtown becomes a destination, and it's easy to get to, and it expands and creates a larger Main Street, Moody Street place, people will come from 128 for lunch. They will come to be outside. They will come to patronize the small, kitschy, mom and pop store that can't survive on a 128 environment. That can only survive on what Moody Street is. And if we look at the history of Moody Street and understand the history of Moody Street, it started out as very much a walking street. It wasn't 100 years ago that horse and buggies were on this road. It can work. We are in a different world, there's different emergencies, there's different things we need to be able to do, but we can make it a more pedestrian-friendly destination, not a way to get through a city.
but a way to get to a place. That's kind of, just want to throw that out.
Hi, my name is Jan and I live on the south side. I hear a lot of people talking about how all these people are coming from out of town to visit the restaurants here. I'd like to point out that they all are looking for places to park, and typically they are parking in the residential sections off of Moody Street. This creates a problem because they're parking at night, and this is when many residents are returning home and looking to park their cars for the evening. I myself do not own a car, and I am all for making Moody Street more pedestrian friendly. But I don't feel that closing Moody Street to traffic does that. As a consequence of closing Moody Street, the MBTA has decided to reroute buses 553, 554, 505, and the 170 if it ever returns, off of Moody Street from Maple Street down to Pine Street. It's traveling on Crescent Street. Crescent Street is quite narrow, and it's not uncommon for the buses to have to stop to allow another bus coming in the opposite direction to pass. And this has occurred during a winter with no snowbanks. So I can't imagine how much more difficult it's going to be for the MBTA buses to get down Crescent Street if we have a winter like 2014. Not being able to travel to Moody Street to do my shopping has been a hardship for me. The bus stops at High Street were also eliminated. So right now, there's no bus service on Moody Street between Ash Street and Waltham Common. I'm also concerned about the small businesses. Many of them have been there for years, and people like myself who don't have cars rely on being able to walk to these businesses and get home with our purchases. And there's also been an explosion of rats. And there's a lot of noise at night. People don't realize how noisy they are when they're having a conversation on their way back in front of their car, parked in front of someone's home, or when they're standing outside of a bar or a restaurant shouting at someone across the street. It's also very difficult to walk up and down the sidewalk when there are waitresses running back and forth in front of you, or people who are hanging out in front of the restaurant waiting to be seated. If you do decide to close Moody Street anyways, I would ask that the restaurants bear the cost of those barriers, any extra trash removal, police, and that they pay some sort of rental fee for having exclusive use of a public road and public sidewalk. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nathan Siegel. I own Temple and I live in Waltham. A couple things sorry, I'm a crappy speaker and you whatever penmanship, but the dates, I wrote to Mr. Garland on the dates and asked him to circulate that to the traffic committee. But Mother's Day weekend, as Jeff said, but Mother's Day, graduation, all those dates in May are very, very important for us, I think. So my suggestion in that letter that I wrote was Mother's Day, use the term loosely, but say around May 10th, give us time to open for that weekend and run that through Fan Gourmet weekend if that happens, which I believe we've already established. Anyway, just my notes, it definitely makes Moody Street a destination, as Jeff was saying, in the middle of summer, it's usually a ghost town. We would even go away in the middle of summer. It's that slow. The restaurants are slow. There's nothing going on. I know that's definitely a slower time for everybody. It makes it a busier time for us. It makes us work our butts off. I think restaurants have certainly adapted. We've adapted a million times since COVID's happened. And I think some other businesses need to do the same thing. We're willing to do that. I think Dave from Sweet Basil has said in a bunch of places, if we're going to close down the street, I think we should be open to lunch. And I don't even care if we're that busy or not. I think that's the right thing to do. We haven't done that in the past, but I think we're in a position where we can do that now. But businesses saying, we're open 9 to 5, and a lot of restaurants don't open till 5. I say, well, you should open maybe 11 to 7, you should adapt if you want to do stuff, and we're willing to do the same thing by putting our best foot forward and trying to bring people down there. There's definitely a lot of business to be had from the restaurant business. I know Happy Feet, for example, gets tons of business just from Tempo, let alone the other restaurants and various stuff like that. I can say traffic, I drive to and from North Waltham to Moody Street 4 times a day, every day, and it doesn't change at all. It's terrible. All year, it doesn't make a difference if Moody Street's open or closed. It doesn't matter if I go down Moody, if I go up Prospect. None of it changes. It's all terrible anyway, so I don't think that's even worth the part of the discussion. Restaurants, there was a question about money. Restaurants make the city $1 million a year. That's in a local tax of 0.75%. We make $1 million for the city. The mayor originally was going to say no to that local tax. I suggested in one discussion with her that we should do that, and we're going to make extra money as long as that money is somewhat earmarked for the restaurant community. So I think some of these expenses that we're looking for the city to spend are easily used in that money that we do generate for the city. Other businesses do not have that local tax. That's only at restaurants, and that's $1 million for the city. I also think that probably the future of this, if it continues, is some sort of business liaison that will help businesses either work with restaurants, work with other businesses, and help do cross promotions. And other parts, there are people dying to get on Moody Street now because of the closures. There are other people who don't want to be there because of the closures. And some of that future will be people move to Main Street. Other Main Street businesses may move to Moody Street. It may be a whole bunch of restaurants on Moody and different businesses on Main, who knows? But I think someone helping people either get out of their leases, have people come into their leases, and having a city liaison that helps with that stuff would be good. And then lastly, so I don't bore anyone, is enforcement. I think a few years ago we had more police on the street than you could imagine, and that was at the beginning, and I don't know all the stuff around that, and details or not details, or, you know, whether it's beat cops or who, anyway, that disappeared. Last year we basically had nothing. You know, if we wouldn't even pick up the phone to find a police person before. Now you would have to get on the phone, and we definitely need enforcement. There has to be, all the rules have to be enforced, whether it be the parking lanes, but just you know, any possible criminal activity, which we obviously had some last year. That was a big deal, and we definitely need enforcement. We need police to walk back and forth. If that's a detail, if we need to chip in block by block, whatever, by the industry, I think we could figure that out too. But we also need some investment from the city in signage and making sure everything's safe, and certainly having police around to make everybody feel safe, and surely safety is it's a lot safer without cars buzzing around, especially right on Jersey barriers. And that's another thing. We absolutely need Jersey barriers. There needs, if there's traffic on the road, we need Jersey barriers. I think they have to be uniform. I think they have to run. They have to touch. I've dined at a few years ago. I was up by Shoppers and up that way, and they had Jersey barriers that had gaps in them. And I was there with my son, and he could walk right onto the road and get killed. I mean, some of that's crazy. I think if we do it and there's traffic on the street, we need it. And if whether it's a leasing program, who knows what with the Jersey barriers, but there's the only way to make it safe is to make them impenetrable to cars. And the ball or whatever the heck is clearly the solution. Is going to be long term, and that would work with the emergency responding vehicles and all that. But obviously, I'm a fan of the outdoor dining. It does huge things for us, and I think it does a ton of stuff for the community as well. Thank you.
I'm Sally Collini, and I'm probably one of the only real senior citizen people here. And my husband and I moved to Waltham almost 8 years ago. Chose Waltham because it was a nice community. We came out from the burbs, and just so everyone knows, I am 87 years old, and I walk everywhere. I love Waltham, I love the river, I love the mayor. I love everything about this city. My eye doctor is on Moody Street. I shop in the little Shaw Market sometimes for my electric bulbs. The other one for my electric bulbs, I always get my Coke and everything else that I need that I don't get into my car to go to Market Basket to get from the dollar store. I enjoy having my friends to eat in the restaurants, although I don't eat out in the restaurant as much as some of the young people do. But anyways, the fact is, I think everybody has something good to say. But I think as far as traffic is concerned, I have never, ever been in a city that is so difficult to cross from Crescent Street to Moody Street without having to wait for cars going one way, back this way, before you finally get across. It is a horrible intersection. I have complained all the way since I've been here about it. But I don't think it would hurt to stop the traffic on Moody Street. I think it might be a plus for all of us. And I encourage everybody to look at the other businesses on Moody Street. The people who run them are delightful people, and it's worth going into the stores because they have a lot of interesting things to say. So I agree, Moody Street should be closed.
Hi everybody, my name is Sham Sami. Some of you probably know me. I was on the Moody Street from 1982 to 2014. I ran New Mother India restaurant. And the reason I came here, I've been on the Moody Street long time. In 1995, and that era, Moody Street was dead. There were only 2 restaurants left on Moody Street. It was Lego and Mother India. At that time, I was moving to Lexington, and Jimmy was going to go to Quincy. We got a call from Mayor Stanley, and he asked us to stay on the Moody Street, and what are the problems we face. And I remember sitting in the office multiple times and explained him how unsafe Moody Street was, and there was no support from the town to help the businesses. And Mayor Stanley said, tell us what you guys need, and I want you to stay here, I can't force you. I used to be down the street, 561 Moody Street, and I moved to 336. And at that time, Jimmy and me sat with Mayor Stanley, how unsafe he was. We walked with him one evening on Moody Street. And if you remember, at that time, they started a patrol from High Street to the Main Street and Main Street to the High Street to clean up Moody Street. But the drug was sold openly on Moody Street, if you people remember. Okay. At that time, we recommended him that something should be done to encourage the business. The sidewalks of Moody Street used to be paved. He broke them up, put up brick sidewalks to encourage the business. And if you guys remember, Moody Street when it became dead, the picture hall died. And Moody Street coming back, the new picture hall came back. And the purpose at that time, putting the brick sidewalk, was eventually to make Moody Street as a pedestrian street. And that was the goal. And Mayor Stanley, I do know, and the mayor subsequently tried to bring some clothing stores so the kids from Bentley and Brandeis don't have to go to Central Square. The restaurants tried to work very hard to bring Moody Street back. I didn't have this privilege to have in the summer Moody Street closed and people come in. I was dying to see that happen. But that which brought Moody Street back. Last year in the summer when you had the fair here, I did come. I don't get a chance to come to Moody Street that much. Spent 32 years away. Every day, 7 days a week. So I was very encouraged to see the amount of people here and how live Moody Street was. I have seen the days on Moody Street and after 7 o'clock you didn't see a human being walk by. So looking at overall the well-being of the city and contribution to the city, one thing I say, Moody Street should be totally closed. In my book, really close all the way to the high street. Don't have half open. Let people enjoy. Let the kids come, okay? They can sit outside. I can have a dinner there, okay? And we see that in the north end. They are fighting. It's not any different than Moody Street. And it's good for the health of Moody Street, good for the health of city of Waltham. And that's the reason I came to sit here today.
Hello, my name is Dan Taylor. I live at Pleasant Street here in Waltham. I'm coming up to speak in favor of the closing, but what I want to say is that I think we do need to consider the needs of businesses that may not be in favor. I think the restaurants have saved downtown Waltham. It's just clear. I've grown up here. I was born here in Waltham, and it's very clear in the last 20 years how things have flourished, mainly because of restaurants, and that's made us a destination, and that's a good thing. So I think our decisions should be focused on that type of business. But it's not fair to other businesses that may be negatively impacted, so I would encourage the city to use some money to help out businesses, either relocating or think about the planning, think of how we can allow delivery trucks to get in and stuff like that. I don't think it has to be all one way or the other, but I think we have to accept that Moody Street has changed and changed for the better, and I think keeping us as a destination will be a positive thing overall for the city. So I would support the Councilor Hawes' plan. Thank you.
Hello. Steve Pedosian on Landwood, Main Street. And I want to thank everybody here on the Traffic Commission and the mayor for having us here tonight. I am a little disappointed that the last Traffic Commission meeting that I showed up with several other landlords and other people, for some reason, it was put to a halt, 10 o'clock meeting, so that we could have this meeting. And it looks like there's been a lot of Facebook promotion and restaurant promotion to have a lot of people there. That's fine. We're in and out when we're talking. It's a little bit disappointing that a lot of these other businesses are impacted what's been going on over here. There's a lot of handicapped people that need to get places. I have an 82-year-old dad. He's an Air Force veteran. And he's not well, he's handicapped. I have to take him out. I do go to some places. I like to drive him right to the front. It can't be done if the street's closed. if it's open, the mayor has one proposal, I heard, for a one-way for, open till Thursday afternoon. And then we have another proposal by Paz, this group. I'm against everything that Councilor Paz has. I'm not interested in anything. I don't appreciate the way that his meeting went. It was selecting flyers and Facebooks on a Sunday. And on that Sunday, he would go up to businesses that were selected and walk by other ones and only invite people, I believe, that I've been told, that were for his proposal. So I know there's a big group in favor of it, yeah, but I'm against it. I love the mayor. She's been good to everybody here in the community. She's done a lot of great things. But the restaurants, they're big, they do a lot for us, but too much. We can't close a public street. Let's be like every other time. Use the parking spaces. Let's keep the street two ways all the time. If somebody needs to put a jersey down in to protect people, please, put them up. Instead of the 100 seats that some people have, you're going to have less seats. Some people that have 15 seats, they're going to have less seats. It just makes sense. People need to be able to go up and down that street. The handicapped people are very, very important to us. It's just not right. We have all sorts of businesses here. We've got eye doctors, we have office space, we have apartments, and we have the retail. A lot of the retail's hurting. I have some businesses that have been around for a very long time. They came to another meeting, but again, they're not here tonight because they were working. Parking, it's a nightmare. I have almost 40 spaces, and when Moody Street is closed, everyone wants to park where my tenants have spaces. It's not fair. It's just not right. Supposedly, the street was pedestrian friendly. Again, the skateboards, the bicycles, the dogs. In the mornings, we have to clean up. Cigarettes, that's a whole other thing. I just can't believe the amount of cigarettes that are going on over here. The restaurants on this side, they come over to this side. I'm not low with my lungs. In my heart, that's why I live in Max. That's just so terrible. Go over some of my notes here. In the mornings, when the street's closed, it's a ghost town. Nobody can get anywhere. We have so many deliveries. We have two big things, Little India, Patel Brothers, we got Family Dollar. They have all sorts of tractor trailers. It's a zoo going around in a circle. It just doesn't make sense. Now, we have a wonderful fire station, and I thank the mayor for, putting that together, and anybody else. There were some councilors that helped with that. It's on Moody Street. It only makes sense. It goes straight down Moody Street. That's why the street should be two ways. So the fire trucks can go that way, and then they can come back that way, and the cars can go that way. Everybody, I hope, a lot of people might not have been here in 2017. What about the fire we had? It was catastrophic on Elm Street. The ashes were going all over Moody Street. That building was somewhat more accessible. What if there's something, God forbid, happens near Moody Street or one of the sides? We need to get there. So the fire department, very important. The access to the street, that's important. The police, that's very important too. So a lot of folks love the idea. I want my kids to go play in the street. I don't know, I'm 62 years old. When I grew up, my parents didn't want me to play in the street. It's ugly once in a while, at 7 o'clock at night on some decent nights. Yeah, you go down the street and enjoy it. But we have all sorts of places to go camp and want to go with your family on a picnic. We have the child with a bike path. We have the new rail trail that we just put together here on the railroad. And that's very appreciative the mayor did that. All the playgrounds, all brand new, and we're still building some new ones right now. We've got the Corners Pool, Prospect Hills all done over. Wow, mid-state, I'm not sure how much land is there. I don't know if it's 50 acres, I'm not sure, 100 acres. That's a great place to take your dogs and your family. Go for a picnic. You know, we've got the corner at City Hall. Maybe a lot of people want to be in Moody Street. Well, maybe some of these restaurants, they can put a little concession stand together and everybody can have picnics over there. But please, don't close the street. It's not fair. Someone had mentioned that one of my tenants is thriving just a few minutes ago. Happy Feet. Well, they used to have, at the peak, 10 employees. I don't think they have 5 now. So I'm not sure where those statistics come from that were just mentioned from somebody else. Mr. Sweeper, 40 years, iconic vacuum store. Unbelievable. People come from all over to get their vacuums repaired. And they're struggling. Coming up the side street, trying to get in there, it's not easy. Have a laundromat. People need to get in and out. But everybody wants to park the cars on the property in those spaces. The street needs to be open. That's my opinion. If we have to close it, let's close it just for Sunday. This long-term plan of a permanent place. Does anybody here want to buy my property? Come on. Come on, who wants to buy it? Because some of these restaurants have opportunities to buy property. Why don't they buy it? And by the way, how come some of these restaurants, they actually have 15 parking spaces? They used to have their dining out back. Why aren't they using those instead? There's another place that looks like they got 100 seats out back. And by the way, the sidewalk is 15.
1 second. You try to say 3 to 4 minutes, we're going way over, so try to.
I'm almost done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've tried to speak at a Ward 1 meeting, they did that to me too. That's why.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize. At the beginning of Moody Street and Crescent, the sidewalk's 15 feet wide. Has anybody put tape on that? Plenty of seats over there too. So I appreciate everybody having me here. A lot of people might not like what I had to say, but that's my opinion. And I hope that the traffic commission can take things into consideration. A lot of people that wanted to be here had sent out emails. And I hope that those get read too. And my apologies for going over my 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good evening, my name is Drew Thurman. I am a Waltham resident on Grant Street, just off Main Street. Also a co-owner of Common Good Co., a coffee shop and co-working space. Just opened a year ago this month, actually. And my family and our co-owner's family actually ended up choosing to live in Waltham because of Moody Street. We were their were several other neighborhoods we were looking at being located in, and it was actually our first visit to Moody Street, and the residential nature of it, the liveliness of it all was what ended up making us pick Waltham, and choosing, I think what you're hearing, a very walking, biking friendly lifestyle for the most part. In fact, I now own, but when I was looking to rent, the realtor that was showing me properties was saying, hey, 10 years ago, everybody was wanting to be in North Waltham, and now I'm having a hard time finding any place to show you on the south side because people want to be within walking distance and are wanting to choose a different kind of lifestyle near Moody Street. And I think what you're hearing from a lot of the folks that are talking, yes, they might not be landowners or property owners on Moody Street, but they're saying, hey, we want to see our community become a place that we can walk and bike and can be a little bit more urban friendly, be more environmentally friendly. In fact, I can speak for the last 3 or 4 months, we've had one patron after another come in and ask us, is Moody Street going to be closing down again? Is this something the city's going to invest in long term? Because we actually relocated and decided to rent in Waltham, or decided to buy in Waltham because of just the nature of what it was like, the livelihood, both in day and night. And I can also speak to not just, yes, we have a coffee shop, but our co-working side is completely full. We have rented out every single office there. And we've also been fortunate to work with others, like Lyra and the ladies down at Fire Cycle, have been able to cross-promote and not just see success happen from the restaurant cafe side, but we're also seeing other businesses thrive. And I'm sure Moody's going to continue to evolve if this becomes a long-term decision. And I agree with what many of others have said. Hopefully the city can help those other tenants find new homes, but I think it's going to be a net positive for our community to continue to invest. And I can only speak for our own business. The city giving us some guarantees would really help us, invest money and understand both in staffing, both in the kind of infrastructure of what investment we're going to make long term, even future leases that we would want to sign with our landlord would be based on the kind of commitment that the city's making that helps us make a long-term decision to continue to do that. And I would say finally, I think this really is bigger than just this meeting, and I'm hoping that this is a decision that I think Waltham begins to make a long-term decision of what kind of community that it wants to be. If it wants to be a community that chooses cars or a community that chooses people. And I think we are seeing, in light of the pandemic, I think as it was noted, several different people, that a lot of great new things have started to become innovated, and we're starting to see a lot of lessons that we've learned in the midst of so much misery. And I think what we're seeing is a renewed urbanism that's happened, where people experience reclaiming their streets, rediscovering their neighbors in ways that they never had before, making community connections and realizing that they really do care about their place more than they ever thought that they did. And I think Waltham has a decision before it, not only in the short-term investment it can make, but in the long term to say, hey, we want to be a community that people don't just drive through or drive in real quickly, but is a place that people actually know their neighbors, actually can walk and have a drink with them, can actually have a meal with them, get to know their name, and stay long term. So thank you for considering this, and thank you for making this community that we need to make home.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Young Harris, and I am the Ward 8 City Councilor. And I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and providing your opinion and showing community. I think it's year 3 that we're talking about this very subject. Also want to thank the Traffic Commission for holding this meeting, and thank the mayor for asking for a citywide public input meeting around the future of Moody Street. Before we talk about the future, let's talk a little bit about history. in 2020, a worldwide pandemic struck not only the city of Waltham, but worldwide. And I can tell you firsthand what it was like to get a call from the mayor in her amazing leadership and said, we need to do something about Moody Street. She had worked with them, with our current commissioner, Brasco, and the Liquor Commission, and had come up with a plan working with the state on how we could do outside dining and pedestrianization. Waltham was the first in 2020 to pedestrianize and do outside dining. We led the Commonwealth in outside dining in this decision, and it took a lot of the political arena by storm. Waltham's history is about leadership, innovation. We were the head of manufacturing. We've gone through good times and bad times. But this community comes together, and we have amazing leadership. I remember when we came up with the plan to close Moody Street. We don't talk about him at these meetings, but I'm going to credit Mark Rednick. Mark Rednick had done Crazy Days in 4 Saturdays in October the year prior in 2019 and closed the street to the Waltham Farmers Market and to outside dining and businesses. That was transformational. I worked on that project, very proud of it, and Traffic Commission saw fit to follow the mayor's leadership and Mark's leadership and tried it. And when the boom hit in 2020, Mark rose to provide his leadership at a Traffic Commission meeting where it was presented for pedestrianization. As you look forward, that decision, pivotal and groundbreaking as it was, brought us here today. Since then, it has been a destination. It has helped small businesses survive. It has kept our community sane and together. It has kept the downtown approachable. You know, when I took office a mere 5 years ago, there were 6 empty storefronts in my district. There are 0 now, 1 filled by Palmwood Cafe. So I can tell you that kinds of decisions and policy decisions that you're being faced with, difficult as they are transformational and make the city what it is, which is amazing. That being said, I want to say this. During COVID, why was the street closed? The street was closed because we had to, under state and federal mandates, provide safe public spaces for people in a pandemic. Don't forget that. So to repeat that, right, it required mandates, government policies that were signed on, executive decision-making at the governor level. Those are being rolled back. So as that's rolled back, we need to peel back the onion of what worked well on Moody Street from both a policy, public access, community perspective, supporting restaurants and small businesses. But I will tell you, you know, that I am working very hard to create other green space. There's no green space in Moody. There isn't. And we don't have much of a front yard or a backyard. I live here 23 years. Moody Street has been a park for me and my family and friends who come and visit. We walk down Moody Street and enjoy it just like many have spoken here tonight. If you go to an extreme position in a pandemic and then rise out of that like a phoenix from the ashes, you've learned a lot. You've made a lot of mistakes. When you look at retrospectively, I think what we've got to do is find some sense of compromise. To continue to completely close the street and ignore all the small business comments that were made here tonight, I think is being tone deaf and not the kind of community that we are. I think what we've got to do is find a way to compromise and do a hybrid approach that will allow people to access their health care, their self-care, their shopping, and their ability to enjoy the outdoors, at the same time do outside dining. And that means we share the street. The mayor's proposal tonight is going to talk about certain nights of the week where there is allowed traffic on the street, and then there's nights of the street where it's fully pedestrianized. That may pass, that may not pass. What I'm trying to imply and insist upon is that this commission look at that seriously. If one-way traffic or two-way traffic is more safe for the public, we should look at it. I also want to address a couple of other things. If and when this becomes pedestrianized, which I certainly hope it does, and I've been a council that's led on this since day one. We have to have better trash cleanup and better approaches to trash management. When you bring all these people downtown, they eat, they produce paper and food products and everything, we've got to have a way to do trash. We've got to also have regular street sweeps so that the downtown looks good. I think it would be great to have, even if it's a partial closure this year, some sense of greenery or green space, flower power, it's real, we should have it. I think that Moody Street should be talked about in terms of mayor's talked about a mecca or marketplace. And I think signage to reflect that versus street closed, road closed, do not enter should be stated. And I've stated this for 3 years. As far as public safety, I don't compromise on that. I don't think this plan should. I think Jersey barriers need to be the standard. If we end up doing any outside dining with cars, the city could lease them. The mayor will obviously lead her discussion on that, and a chargeback fee to those that need them could be provided. We also need our law enforcement. And we need to promote this far and wide. We have over 6,000 people following our social media. We have a downtown Waltham partnership. We have a Chamber of Commerce, and we should leverage it. Chamber of Commerce, based on the closure of Moody Street these past years as pedestrianization, has actually been able to secure grants from the state based on tourism, which allowed 38 small businesses to produce a commercial last year. Fun fact, that this kind of stuff actually does help all small business. And the last thing I'm going to say is about bikes. 3 years ago, I brought a resolution before the city council. I couldn't get the bike downtown bike racks passed in all municipal laws. Wouldn't pass the council. I brought it back this year. It was passed, and it's before the traffic commission to be able to be approved and get pricing, put it on the mayor's desk in April. And I certainly hope that happens, because if we do this and do this right, it's going to be people, bikes, and cars. In closing, I want to say this. Nothing gets done. It's fine to debate. It's fine to take positions. I think that that's part of government, that's part of public debate, and it should happen. But when it comes to decision making, you've got to find a way to strike a balance to hit the goals of the city. We should do some form of Moody Street outside dining. We should do some form of pedestrianization, but we should not do that at the cost of all small businesses. And we should find a way to coexist with cars, not as a negative, but as a positive. Over time and in a longer term plan, if you ended up pedestrianized Moody, you'd have to make major investment that can't be done in 45 days. And is it going to be studied over 3 years? It's too big, too important, to rush. But small compromises can be made. There's engineering licenses sitting here, public service experts. I know you guys are up for it. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank the mayor. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Councilor Colleen Bradley Parker. I'm also a Waltham resident who has participated. I want to clarify something that was mentioned earlier. I participated in walking up and down Moody Street and talking to every business. The businesses that we went to, it was not a selection of certain businesses. I just want to make sure that's clear. There are also people in this room who walked Moody Street with me, so they can testify that we went to every Moody Street business that we could before the meeting that was had a few weeks ago. And what I thought was so special about that meeting, and it is happening here tonight, is it was remarkably civil. People who support Moody Street and a pedestrianized Moody Street listened to the problems of the small businesses. We heard that again tonight, where people said, we don't want these small businesses to fail. I am encouraged to see that that civility and generation of creative ideas has continued tonight. And I thank you all for listening to all of the ideas that have been presented. I also think in listening to all of these businesses, we need someone within the city who is going to focus on economic and business development. I also think we need someone or coordination with Chamber of Commerce to actually do a marketing campaign. There are people, this is what they do all day long. It's not just a video is great. I think we should do videos again. I'm a video producer, I'm a fan of video, but it needs to be a coordinated campaign. It needs to have signs, it needs to have maps, it needs to have an explanation of all of the businesses. So in closing, I just want to say thank you all for your time, and I appreciate that this was a civil meeting, and I appreciate that not only the patrons of Moody Street had ideas, but they had ideas to support the small businesses. One other thing I do want to add is the thought of having a opportunity for cars to drive down the middle of Moody Street while people are inches away from a Jersey barrier is terrifying. And I will say that because when I went to Belmont last summer and went to the Belmont Cafe several times, I barely felt comfortable crossing the street in Belmont. I shudder to think about how it would be trying to cross Moody, and I certainly wouldn't bring my son if there was an opportunity for cars to go through a narrow stretch of Moody. Thank you again for your time.
This time, Mayor McCarthy, are you ready to do a presentation?
Thank you very much. And residents of Waltham, thank you very much for coming, expressing your opinions. Regardless of what your opinion was, you got up and you gave them input that we want. So I'd like to say a couple things. I apologize for my voice. In the last 20 years, pedestrianization of Moody Street has only been proposed 2 times. Partial pedestrianization has been proposed. Mr. Rudnick, downtown partnership with streetscape proposals. But it was originally proposed in the early 2000s. And because people had said, you know, why don't we try to make Moody Street a mecca, a Moody Street a place for people to come and enjoy and shop. And at that time, it received no support whatsoever. There weren't residents coming up, businesses weren't in favor, and at that time what they said is, cars need to go by so that the businesses can get business. If they don't see the businesses, they won't be able to come. So traffic commissions, as you know, the members change over time, but it had no support. During COVID, the first proposal was to completely shut down Moody Street and allow it to be pedestrianized. And as you know, I can tell you all the planning studies that were done over the years. I can tell you we contacted every landowner to try to get a diversification of Moody Street over time. So it came down to this at COVID. I think there were at least 5 public hearings, some on Zoom, most of them were on Zoom, and they weren't civil at all. They were very passionate for their proposal. In one occasion, it was a shouting match where the chief had to tell everybody to cool up. So I'm very happy to say that we're here tonight with no plan before you that calls for the pedestrianization of Moody Street. It's not before you. And I think that needs to be clear. If people want the full closure of Moody Street only to pedestrians, they have to file a petition with the Traffic Commission. And there's 2 ways that they can happen. An elected official can serve as the conduit to get it on the agenda for the Traffic Commission, or that the citizens can go out and get signatures on behalf of the citizens. So that's not before you. In 2000, early 2000, it was before you. And respectfully, I went home and said it has no support. And in 2000, I thought, well, maybe I'll try it again. And during COVID, I did. But that didn't work either. Why? because all of the people came forward and they expressed their opinions, and the traffic commission chose a compromise. And after a lot of discussion, not only amongst themselves, but with the public and with the businesses and with the residents, they came up with a compromise. And that compromise was to close Moody Street in portions. Chestnut Street was always open. You could come up Chestnut Street, go right across in one direction, and Walnut Street. So it was never a full closure. There was a whole block of Moody Street, a large block of Moody Street that was open. And during that time, I expressed, as well as Mr. Garvin expressed, after seeing it, that it was not safe. That people were going, you were walking up Moody Street and you don't have a clue. All of a sudden, there's a car right next to you. So I had expressed in the last 2 years, I said, you know, that plan doesn't work. I know that was the compromise plan. So now, with the COVID powers being gone, I basically told the traffic commission that we now all have to go by the regular rules. And those regular rules call for, if you want to have a parking space, you come to the traffic commission. They are the ones that have the authority to let you use a parking space. If you want to use the sidewalk, you have to go to the city council. There's city ordinances on that. And if you want to have outside dining, you have to get not only an extension from the license commission in Waltham, you have to get the state approval. Now, the state has extended that, but they haven't extended the rest of the COVID provisions that were out there to basically help people in the pandemic. So that means everybody has to go and go either before the traffic commission or before the city council. And if you have a common victuals license or a liquor license, you have to go before the license commission. So it's no easy solution here. I can't agree with the proposal that keeps the status quo with Chestnut Street and Walnut Street. I can't, because it's not safe. And last year, while I was there at noontime, I witnessed something I never want to witness again. It was a tractor trailer who violated the Jersey barrier on Chestnut Street West, came around the Jersey barrier, and that tractor trailer, huge tractor trailer, was going back and forth and back and forth. And it kept on, so I called the police. So now when the tractor trailer would go back, he had to watch out for the pedestrians crossing at Chestnut, at Moody Street. So why couldn't the tractor trailer go? Number one, they shouldn't have been breaching the Jersey barrier. Number two, it was a delivery truck. This was at noontime. There was a delivery truck parked on the Moody Street on the easterly side of Chestnut. So that tractor trailer could not make the turn. There was also an illegally parked car on Chestnut Street, right at the base of Moody. And then there was another delivery truck. Now, when all the planning was done for all of this, and there was a lot of planning done by the departments, including the traffic commission and the traffic engineering department, and I have to acknowledge that, because it wasn't easy just coming up with this and getting it done. CPW, wires, health, fire, they all pitched in. So when I look at it all, that tractor trailer convinced me, what are you doing? Well, after that truck moved and the deliveries, they're supposed to have their deliveries before 11 o'clock. That was always decided. And they had certain areas that the traffic commission determined where the deliveries would be. So that tractor trailer proceeded to come out. He had to get out of the cab to back up to make sure he wasn't killing the pedestrians that were behind him because he couldn't see. And then he finally made the turn onto Moody. So now he had to take a left onto Walnut. He went up on the sidewalk. He actually shook the sign on the sidewalk, says no parking. And he shimmied the sign all the way down going all the way down. By now, the police officer was helping him get out on Moody Street. So what have I observed on other occasions? Cars coming out of Chestnut Street, backing up into Moody to get a parking space on Moody. Cars shooting across from Walnut Street across, almost hitting the people walking up Moody. Now, there's all kinds of signage. You have to go there, they put up, traffic put up signage, use the sidewalk only, but they don't. People basically think it's closed. So, I can't support the status quo. Taking the planning of it aside, the status quo is before you. Now, what I did put forth a proposal, and I came from a Solomon, but a proposal to try to be fair to everybody. And that proposal is basically understands that there are residents on the south side, and everything south of the river is the south side. And there are businesses, and there are all kinds of other people that frequent Moody Street. So, when I looked at it, in the beginning, I looked at the city of Boston, and I presented that to the Traffic Commission, and I said, Boston started out as a local road. So downtown crossing was a local road in the beginning, and then they basically closed downtown crossing. But you can go around. You just can't get cars within downtown crossing. So that's the reason why I proposed a local road in the beginning. And then also in 2000, in the 2000s, but also during COVID, I proposed it. So here we are. Now, I don't envy any of you. I will tell all of you that I know that the city has had this up to their ears. Having to do all the work, whether that be police, public works, health, but they did it. And I thank them for doing it. Every department here has had some role in having Moody Street be a mecca, a marketplace. But now, we don't have that authority. So I propose once again, a local road. So Mark Rudnick and I had a conversation at the time that he was bringing in at COVID and the year before to have the farmers market on Moody Street in October. So they tried that. And we had a conversation. We both preferred the full closure, but it takes a while for people to become accustomed to it or like it. So we never have been able to get to that point. And I respect that. But I also believe that a local road for the 14 weeks, and I believe it should be a seasonal thing. So from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I believe there should be fairness. Now, no one will agree with my plan. And I acknowledge that. No one will agree. But it's my job to try to be fair to everyone. Now, there's a lot of people that aren't here that actually live on the south side that call their councils and call the mayor, but they're not going to come to a public meeting. And they have indicated, Mayor, why can't we just go back to the old Moody Street, where it's open to everyone? And a lot of people on the south side believe that. Then I have a lot of other people that say it should be completely closed except to pedestrians and bikes. That came out at the master plan meetings, but it also came out tonight again. That proposal's not before you. So anybody thinking behind me that that proposal's going to be decided tonight, not tonight, anything's going to be decided, this is a public hearing, going to be decided by the Traffic Commission, it's not, because it's not before you. So if anybody wants that proposal, I suggest that you get before the Traffic Commission on that proposal. So let's go back to the city of Boston. The city of Boston now has downtown crossing. And the city went in and they made it all pavers so that everybody can enjoy it. So no matter what I propose, my heart is in this. We have businesses of all nature on Moody Street, and I remember when Moody Street was desolate. After the malls came in, Moody Street, of the generation that we grew up in, had all kinds of stores and all kinds of activity, and it was the place to go. Then the malls came in, and in fairness, Mayor Stanley and the city council changed the zoning to revitalize Moody Street. And the first person he got in was a restaurant that Jimmy Burke owned. And then he got Lizzie's. And then it grew from there. But there was no diversification. Right now we have all kinds of businesses, little shops, professional services, restaurants, big and small. And you see, that is the constituency out there. They each have different interests. So that's the reason why I proposed the compromise proposal, which basically is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday till 4, the street would be open. And you know, people get confused when you use the word closed and open, because some people use open to say closed. So I want to make it clear, when I say open, it means open to vehicular traffic. And then Thursday from 4 till Sunday at 7, it would then be closed. And that closure would be from Crescent and Pine Street to Moody and High. That's my proposal for a lot of reasons. Because as I go up and down Moody Street, and I talk to people, they have different interests, but they all are investing in Waltham. And they need to make a living, and they need to survive. So I heard the people come up, Twinkle, crying. So that's what I'm trying to do. There's no pure solution. No one will be happy unless their proposal is adopted. So I seek your guidance, and I just need to make sure everybody knows the Traffic Commission was set up so that the politics of the situation was removed with traffic. And originally, many, many years ago, it was set up by state legislation. The mayor was on the Traffic Commission, and they took the mayor off on purpose to make sure there was no politics. So every elected official, from the mayor to council to school committee, and every person has to come before the Traffic Commission to get a decision. Now, I don't envy you this time, because you've been through a lot over the last 3 years, and I'm talking about the commission right now. And I know what you've been through. But I ask you to look not just at my proposal, not just at another proposal, but to look what's right for Moody Street, and the residents, and the businesses, and the taxpayers. That's hard to balance. But I believe that the restaurants, the ambiance of Moody Street, when the restaurants had a chance to have the closure, partial closure. There's some restaurants way up, there's some restaurants in between, but they all enjoyed that. But the other businesses did not necessarily benefit. As a matter of fact, some of them, and a lot of them, were harmed. So I put forth this proposal in an attempt to try to get some consensus of a plan. Would I like to have Moody Street closed all the time? Yes. And I'm not going to sit here and say to you that, by the way, Mayor, when you proposed it in 2000, early 2000, I think it was 2005, it was the right idea. I can't say that because there's too many people whose lives are at stake. Now, We want to conserve energy, we want to get rid of cars, all of that. But if you're on a lease and you all of a sudden can't make it, the Massachusetts law says that if you break that lease, unless the landlord agrees, you need to continue to pay the rent. That's a fact that maybe people don't know. That's why Brothers is empty right now. I wrote to Brothers and said, can we do something to try to get that? And that's exactly what's happening there. They do, when you have a lease and you break the lease, you continue to have to pay the rent. So I can't say to people who can't afford their rent payments anymore that we shouldn't compromise. And I appreciate you listening, and I will take back all of the suggestions, and if I think the proposal should be amended or changed, I'll let you know. But I thank you for having this meeting, and I thank everybody for coming. And I hope that there's something that the city of Waltham citizens can get together on. Because if we go back to the status quo, and I'm talking about the status quo where Chestnut Street is open and Walnut Street's open, where it's going across, respectfully, I can't support that because I know the safety conditions. When I have to call a police officer down to Moody Street because a tractor trailer decided to violate every bit of traffic regulations, not right. So, thank you and have a good evening.
Council Pass, did you want to speak on your petition?
I wasn't exactly planning on speaking tonight. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to everyone. You guys heard my proposal. It's still the same. And my proposal did come through a petition of a constituent, so it is before you. I just want to put that on the record as was dictated by the clerk. So I really do appreciate you indulging us, and I really hope that you do what's best for Moody Street. Thank you.
Well, thank everybody for being here tonight. We'll take all your comments under consideration, and I move to adjourn. All fair? Adjourn. Thank you.